On March 7th, 1992, I was there. When I started caring about the NBA around, I would say 1990. I was a Lakers fan. Yep, you heard me. I rooted for the Lakers. They were one of those popular teams I always saw on TV. Also, for some strange reason, a small handful of their telecasts were on a local channel in my neck of the woods, KCBA TV 35 out of the Central Coast. Literally a few hundred miles north of ye old Great Western Forum. Hearing the legendary broadcaster Chick Hearn call all of the excitement. It was nearing the sudden and untimely end of the Showtime era. The gang was all still together trying to win another championship. AC Green, Byron Scott, James Worthy, Klay Thompson's dad, and how can I forget the reason I rooted for the Lakers? Earvin Magic Johnson. I was excited that the Lakers made the NBA Finals in 1991 and was hoping to bask in a championship. I even had the fortitude to wear a Lakers hat my dad got me for Christmas to Candlestick Park for a Giants Day game, the same day the Lakers stole Game 1 from the Bulls in the finals. Everybody was booing while I held up my Lakers hat proudly. I was bummed after the Bulls took the next 4 to begin their domination in the 1990s. How did I bounce back after that? Got a Sega Genesis as a gift for graduating junior high, popping in Lakers vs. Celtics, and beating the Bulls as the Lakers. The sports world was rocked very hard on November 7, 1991, when Magic Johnson announced that he contracted the HIV virus and would call it a career in the NBA after 12 seasons and 5 NBA championships. While he came back to coach the Lakers in 1994 and came back to wear the purple and gold for a brief time in 1996, that day in 1991 saddened a lot of sports fans, basketball fans, and myself included at the time, Laker fans. Many of us rejoiced a little bit when Johnson was voted in by the fans to play in the 1992 NBA All-Star Game in Orlando, where he put up 25 points and won the game's MVP award. Magic's sudden retirement crippled the Lakers in the 1991-92 season. They went from defending Western Conference champions the year before to barely making the playoffs as an 8th seed. Despite making a deal to get a high school kid who would go on to be one of the greatest players in the game, the Lakers would go through the rest of the 1990s getting eliminated by either the Phoenix Suns, San Antonio Spurs, Houston Rockets, or the Utah Jazz in the playoffs before the turn of the century when they ushered in a new Showtime era. The Golden State Warriors were hoping to build off a 1990-91 season that had them making the second round of the playoffs for the first time since 1989 after shocking the San Antonio Spurs in the first round. Before their super teams in the 10s and teens, they had a trio of good players with a catchy name, Run TMC, Tim Hardaway, Mitch Richmond, and Chris Mullin. The trio would lead the NBA in scoring for 2 seasons. Then the band broke up after Richmond was traded to the Sacramento Kings for Billy Owens. While they were shilling their own burger from McDonald's that season, Mullin and Hardaway were still the 2 best players on the Warriors. The Warriors had one of the best seasons I saw at the time. They were in a race for the Pacific Division title with the Portland Trail Blazers for most of that season. Warrior fans may have rejoiced in all of this winning, but I didn't. I still embraced the Lakers as the favorite team. However, it just wasn't the same without Magic. One day my dad got tickets to see the Warriors. I remember the last pro basketball game I attended. It was a semi-pro game in the old Continental Basketball Association. For the uninitiated, the CBA was the equivalent to the NBA's G League that exists today. In 1991, I got some good seats to see the short-lived San Jose Jammers take on the Lacrosse Catbirds from Wisconsin. Home games for the Jammers were at the Event Center at San Jose State University. The Jammers moved to Bakersfield the next season and folded after the 1991-92 season. Enough of the history lesson about a dead basketball league. Moving on. While my dad couldn't make it, he ended up giving me the ticket. My mom and I ended up going on the road to the Coliseum, and the seats we had weren't exactly the nosebleeds. We were a few rows from the baseline, very close to the action. It wasn't just the dynamic duo in the NBA Live 95 commercial and would both become Olympic gold medalists that I was privileged to see. I would get to see another notable big man, a distinguished member of the University of Houston's Phi Slamma Jamma, who would go on to win 2 NBA championships and win Olympic gold in 1996, Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. As mentioned earlier, the Warriors were looking to catch Portland for the top of the Pacific Division, and the Rockets were fighting for a playoff spot. Unlike other videos I've done, I don't really have too much of a play-by-play summary, so I'll just walk you by the quarters and note the players whose performances stood out. After the first quarter, the Rockets had a 4-point edge on the Warriors. At the half, the two were trading baskets. The Warriors outscored the Rockets 22-17 in the second to take a slim 51-50 lead at the half. Then the Warriors had a huge third quarter, and it resulted in an insurmountable 91-76 lead after 3. While the Rockets outscored the Warriors in the fourth quarter, it wasn't enough. The Warriors would hold on with the 110-100 win. Otis Thorpe led the Rockets with 23 points, and Olajuwon got a double-double with 13 points and 14 rebounds. Tim Hardaway was selfless with 12 assists, and Mullen led the Warriors with 36 points. The Warriors would finish this pretty good season in third place in the Western Conference and behind the Portland Trail Blazers for the Pacific Division. The playoff run for the Warriors wouldn't last long. They would lose in the first round to the Seattle Supersonics in 4 games. Going to this game would change my life as a sports fan. I no longer supported the purple and gold of a Lakers team that unexpectedly lost their superstar. After tuning into a Warriors game on KICU the next night, a road loss to the Los Angeles Clippers, the transformation was complete. I've had a closet full of jerseys over the past 2 decades. It all started when I got a Sarunas Marciulionis Warriors jersey for Christmas in 1992. The following year, I got another Warriors jersey for Christmas. It was the rookie at the time, Chris Webber. I actually got to ask the coach at the time, Don Nelson, a question on a KNBR show hour called Ask Nelly. Without going too far into the years of my life as a Warriors fan, I'm proud to say that I stuck with them. Through all of the middling futility and mediocrity, Chris Webber leaving after a season and a half, Don Nelson quitting in 1995 and coming back in 2005, the season when the Warriors played in San Jose while Oracle Arena was being renovated, Latrell Sprewell traded in disgrace after choking coach PJ Carlesimo, hosting the 2000 All-Star Game with no representation, the coma in 2007 known as the We Believe Gang that knocked off the top-seeded Dallas Mavericks in the first round, which coincidentally had Don Nelson as the coach. Beginning of the Stephen Curry era in 2009, an ownership change that brought in Joe Lacob, which angered Warrior fans so much that they expressed their disgust while Chris Mullen was getting his jersey retired. Believe me, this franchise would compete with the Charlotte Hornets on how many times they could hit rock bottom. Meanwhile, the team I turned my back on would have one of the most dynamic duos in the history of the NBA in the late 90s and early 2000s in Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. Also getting a bench boss like Phil Jackson that had already won 6 championships and coached one of the greatest players to shoot a basketball, Michael Jordan. The Lakers would go on to become the next team of the decade after the Chicago Bulls by winning 5 championships from 2000 to 2010. The futility of the Warriors I had seen over 2 decades was so bad that I was considering writing a book about a huge Warriors fan that was given some news that he had a terminal illness and didn't have much time to live, and he wanted to see the Warriors win at least 1 championship before he died. I could always change the script and have it be about a dying man waiting on the Sharks to win something. I have literally been waiting over half my life to see them win a Stanley Cup. Just like with the San Francisco Giants in 2010, after 23 years since becoming a Warriors fan, the waiting to see this team reach the next level would be at an end. The 2014-15 Warriors season was by far the best I'd ever seen from this team in all my years as a Warriors fan. They hired someone who won a lot of rings, but had 0 coaching experience in Steve Kerr. The Warriors would go to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1975 and go on to win the NBA championship for the first time in 40 years. The winning would not stop. The Warriors would go on to the NBA Finals 3 more times and come out on top 2 out of the 3 trips. Everything has a beginning. That March night in Oakland was the beginning of me following the Golden State Warriors from the dark times to the brightest times. And it all started when I was there on March 7th, 1992.